Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a pretty revolutionary idea from cell biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton. What if I told you the key to your health, your happiness? What if it wasn't locked away in your DNA? What if it's actually controlled by your thoughts? Yeah, let's get into it.
So get this, Dr. Lipton is doing research in the Caribbean, kind of far away from the stuffy halls of academia, right? And he has this aha moment. He suddenly realizes that a cell's life isn't controlled by its genes. No, it's controlled by its environment. He saw that genes weren't the cause of a cell's fate, they're more like blueprints. And the environment? That's the contractor, deciding which parts of the plan to actually build. This one single insight, it launched a whole new way of understanding life. So let's break it down.
Okay, so for decades, science has been running on one core belief about how life works. It's this belief that has shaped, well, everything, from medicine to how we see ourselves. Let's take a look at what that is. So we've all heard this, right? That our fate is just written in our genes. You've got the cancer gene or maybe the happiness gene, and that's just your lot in life. You're basically a victim of your own heredity. The whole idea makes us sound like we're just powerless machines and our lives are already laid out for us. This whole idea has a name. It's called the central dogma. And it's been the foundation of biology for a long, long time. The belief is simple. Information in biology only flows one way. It goes from DNA to RNA to proteins. That's it. In other words, DNA is the boss. It's in control, period. This is what's known as genetic determinism. But what if that foundation wasn't as solid as we all thought? What if there were some cracks? A couple of really surprising discoveries started to shake up this whole idea, and they revealed a story that was way more interesting. Okay, so the Human Genome Project, it delivered a massive shock to the scientific world. I mean, a huge one. Biologists predicted that for humans to be as complex as we are, we need something like 120,000 genes. Makes sense, right? Well, the final count came in, you ready for this? Just about 25,000. To put that in perspective, a tiny primitive worm has around 24,000 genes. So what gives? This was a major clue that something other than just the genes had to be responsible for all our complexity. All right, so the next big challenge to this central dogma thing came from a pretty direct experiment. The logic is simple. If DNA is the brain of the cell, then what happens when you take it out? The cell should just die instantly, right? Just like what would happen to us if you removed our brain. And this is the incredible part. When scientists actually did this, it's a process called enucleation. The cell kept on living. It didn't die. It was moving around, eating, even communicating with other cells. It kept on chugging along totally intelligently for up to 2 months, all without its genes. This was absolute proof that the DNA was not the brain. It wasn't the thing controlling the cell's moment-to-moment life. So, if the DNA in the nucleus isn't the brain, then what is? Where's the real control center? Well, Dr. Lipton proposed that the answer isn't deep inside the cell at all. It's actually right at the very edge, that thin, almost magical barrier that separates the cell from the rest of the world. To get how this works, Lipton uses this really simple analogy. Think of the cell membrane like a bread and butter sandwich. You got your 2 slices of bread on the outside that love water, and in the middle, you have this fatty butter layer that repels water. It's just a basic barrier, keeping the inside in and the outside out. But here's where the real magic happens. You add olives to the sandwich. These olives are actually proteins, and they act as receivers and responders. They're like these teeny tiny antennas that are constantly scanning the environment outside the cell. And when they pick up a signal, they translate that signal into an action inside the cell. They're literally telling the cell what to do based on what's happening outside. And this, right here, is the foundation of a whole new field of science called epigenetics. It means control above the genes. The membrane, the cell's skin, is the true brain because it perceives the environment and then tells the genes which ones to turn on and which ones to turn off. It's control above the genes. That's the key. Okay, so let's scale this up. What happens when you apply this idea not just to one cell, but to a human being made of 50 trillion cells? What exactly is the environment that all those cells are listening to? More for us complex beings, the environment isn't just what's happening outside our bodies. It's the chemical information, the hormones, the signals that your brain is bathing your cells in every single second. And what controls those signals? Your thoughts, your beliefs, your perception of the world. Your mind's interpretation of reality becomes your body's reality. But which part of your mind is actually running the show? Neuroscientists say we basically have two distinct minds. And get this, while the numbers can vary a bit, many believe that a whopping 90% of our mental activity is driven by the subconscious. So you've got your conscious mind. That's the one you're aware of right now. It's analytical, it can plan, it has willpower, it's creative. But then you have the subconscious, and that, my friends, is the powerhouse. It's all about habit and emotion. It holds all your long-term memories and those deep, programmed beliefs, and it runs all your bodily functions without you even having to think about it. It's the autopilot.
And this image just illustrates the difference perfectly. The subconscious mind is like a supercomputer. It's processing millions of bits of information from the world around you every single second. And the conscious mind, by comparison, it's processing just a tiny, tiny fraction of that. So when your conscious mind is busy daydreaming or thinking about what to have for dinner, it's the subconscious that's actually running the complex machinery of your life, based on all its old programs.
Now, this understanding, it has some pretty profound implications. I mean, think about it. If our mind's programming, especially those subconscious beliefs, is what's controlling our biology, well, that means we can change the program. And if we can change the program, we can change our health. We can change our lives.
We see this play out so clearly with the placebo and nocebo effects. You've heard of the placebo effect, right? That's when a positive belief, like thinking a sugar pill is a powerful new drug, creates a real, measurable healing response in your body. But there's a dark twin to that, the nocebo effect. That's where a negative belief, like a doctor giving you a grim diagnosis, can actually make you sick. In both cases, your belief alone becomes a powerful biological reality.
And this isn't just some psychological trick, it's been proven in the lab. In this amazing epigenetics experiment with something called agouti mice, scientists showed it plain as day. Look at these two mice. They are genetically identical. The only difference is that the mother of the small, healthy brown mouse got some nutritional supplements while she was pregnant. That's it. That one simple change in her environment completely changed how her baby's genes were expressed, affecting its health for its entire life.
So what does this all mean for you and me? It means you are not a victim of your heredity. You're not. Your genes are more like blueprints, not your destiny. It's your beliefs, your perceptions, your environment. You are the contractor choosing which parts of that blueprint to build. The bottom line is you have way more control than you've ever been led to believe. You see, this research doesn't just change how we see biology. It totally changes how we see ourselves. It shifts us from being passive victims of our DNA to being active creators of our own lives and our own well-being. And that leaves us all with a very, very powerful question to ask ourselves.